This week on The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
Your husband hasn't even acknowledged he's been married to you for the last 10 years.
The world knows.
The world know about that baby. The world know about that baby.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episode 9. Let's get right into this. Okay, so the girl trip is over, the birthday weekend trip. So Cynthia is being Bailey Private Eye and going meeting with different women to try to figure out what happened. How did the trip end? So for one, she goes with Kelli and Shamea in one interaction. Then she goes with Angela on another. And then finally with Porsha. So obviously, there's always different sides when it comes to a story. But this time, they all seem to be on the same page on what happened. So when they were at the pool, partying and drinking and everything, Brit had brought up that Charles Oakley had an outside baby. And Porsha said, Angela better calm down before I F Charles. Oh. But we know that. We saw that yesterday. We saw that last episode. What's interesting, though, is that after all of this, Shamea sent a message reaching out to Angela, and Angela responded to Shamea on a text message by saying that after the disrespectful behavior towards me and my husband, there is nothing else to be said. This is some fake-ass sisterhood, and clearly our morals and values don't align. The text was much, much more than that, but Angela ends it by saying, but it's all good, stay blessed. That was a lot. But one of the reasons Cynthia is doing all this is because she's bringing back the Bailey Q. You know what? I love the Bailey Q. This particular one will be like a Juneteenth celebration and a Bailey Q all in one. And she's going to have a profit. And I was just thinking, a profit? Didn't y'all have a lot of problems once over a profit? I don't know. Okay, moving on from that, we then see a scene where Kelli is having a literal party where she spent over $1,000 on her dog. I'm sorry, y'all. I hate to say this, but her little dog is ugly with pink hair. But you know what? She loves her dog. I'm cool with it. I barely want a party for myself, let alone throw a party for a dog. But again, I'm not mad at it. It's her dog. It's her money. So other people came, including Brit. Brit was the only one from the actual Housewives that came. They brought their dogs. Kelli's oldest daughter wasn't there because she's with her grandparents. But Brit talks to Kelli real quick. Brit is excited because her mom is moving in with her in about a month. That's something that they've been working on for a while. And Brit is also happy that she's becoming closer with her sisters, which I'm glad, because I'm so close to my family. And of course you're always going to fight, but your family's your family. So I like it when I see siblings or children trying to make amends with their parents or brothers and sisters. Brit says that her sisters have actually been very supportive after this whole Kenya stunt, and I would imagine that of course they would. Alright, moving on, we see Porsha at Porsha's mother's house. I still can't believe Porsha can't film in her house. But listen, when you marry for money, you gotta remember the one with money is always gonna be in control. So Porsha is there, so is her mom and her sister Lauren. Porsha got her daughter a puppy. That was nice. She can't really give her siblings, so a dog's gonna do for now. So Porsha tells her mom and sister about their divorce. Then she talks about the trip and how it all went south that last night because she found out that Drew and Dennis had been filming 9 episodes in, and we're still talking about this, you guys. I'm tired. Porsha then tells them about the last night and how she says her mood was down. Cynthia then came to encourage her and then after being encouraged, she decided to go down to have the party. And she does admit that she was mimicking Angela, but Angela came out stomping down and complaining that we called her Big Bird. And I was just thinking, now Porsha, how are you going to bully someone and you're going to be mad that they come, check you, come confront you? You can't be the bully and make the other person be the bad guy at the same time. Come on. I do get that she was frustrated that Angela was doing a bit too much by pushing Drew down everyone's throat. I get that. But for us to sit in a circle at night to talk about somebody really negatively, it's messy. Next scene is Shamea. She goes to visit Shadina, the surrogate. Remember, she kind of has this surrogacy agency. So Shamea is introduced to who will be her new surrogate. Her name is Aisha. That's interesting. I personally, I support surrogacy, and I think it is great. I think it's amazing that we've come up with a way where women can have children. Women who maybe aren't in the position to actually carry the baby, but the fact that someone else can carry and you can still have your child, I think that is amazing. But seeing this scene though, I will say it's kind of like unorthodox for sure. Like, to know that, like, oh, you're meeting a stranger that will carry your child, it's like, it's something that you definitely got to think about. But this was a good meeting. They met, and Shamea called her husband on FaceTime so that he could see her, and I'm sure they're obviously going to get to know her more after that. So that was good. Next up, Charles and Angela are working out. Charles works out every day, so Angela's joining him, which is great. So Angela begins to tell him what she did at Porsha's trip and how she took it upon herself to invite Drew. She says, then at the final dinner, Porsha was mad. Brit was speaking for Porsha, so I asked Porsha, why did she steal that man? So, Charles really isn't into all that mess, so he says to Angela, you shouldn't have said that. Like, you should have stayed out of that. Like, that didn't have anything to do with you. So Angela says, oh, well, you sure you want to be in the Porsche train? Because let me tell you, buckle up. The girls were out there saying that you had this girl in New York, and Porsha made it seem like it's so easy for anybody to F you, and that even she could F you. So I confronted her, and she got her ass out of there real quick, and I'm about to go to war. That's what Angela said. So Charles was pretty calm. He was obviously denying what they were saying about him. Now listen, I'm all for Angela fighting for her man, because she should. And what Porsha said was unacceptable, but do I believe what is said about Charles? Yeah, because Wendy Williams already spilled that tea. Okay, in the next scene, Porsha again at her mom's house. She has her daughter, and Dennis is there too. Now, Porsha's acting kind of like everything's perfectly fine, which, I mean, is good. They even did a confessional together, Porsha and Dennis. So in this particular scene, they're there because Porsha hired an au pair for her daughter. It was nice that they brought her balloons and a little cake to kind of, formally welcome her. It was, I think they said she was from Africa. It was a very sweet young lady, so that's going to be their au pairs. So then after that, Porsha and Dennis talk, just the two of them. And here we go again. Why are you filming on the show? Why did I have to hear from someone else? And then he want to say, well, I was just doing a session and the cameras happened to be there. But then he says that Drew isn't even signed to him anymore. Porsha says, well, didn't you say she tried to sleep with you? Whoa. So Porsha's looking through her messages to try and find Dennis texting, and something about someone said all you had to do was say yeah. So Porsha asks him, are you effing her? He says, no, I'm not, but someone else is. He kind of alluded to that. But listen, you guys, at the end of the day, Porsha, Dennis, and Drew are full of BS, so I can't even have an opinion. But I will say this, it's very clear to me that there is an organic chemistry between Porsha and Dennis, and I think that Porsha still does like him. So I think that it would be great for them to try and work it out. Now, maybe Dennis can't maintain the lifestyle that she wants, but Porsha's gonna have to make a decision. Alright, moving right along to Brit. She's with her sister, packing things up. They're at her mom's house that she has just sold, where she's gonna be moving out of. So they're packing things, looking at some old photos. It brings back so many memories. So it was Brit and her sister Sher. Her mom was there, and so was her grandmother. So Brit and Sher, they kind of wish that the home could have stayed like within the family, like at least they'll own it, because that's like where they grew up and everything. So it's kind of like mixed emotions. It did get a little heated though. The mom and Sher kind of got into it and kind of started shouting at each other over some liquor. Now, obviously, their issue isn't about liquor. You can tell there's some tension there between them. There's definitely some feelings that have been festering there. Like it seems pretty deep. Then Brittany gets a FaceTime from her other sister, and Cher said hi and something about we don't call each other enough, and Cher starts like screaming, but like not in an angry way, like in a sad way, because then she starts bawling. It was kind of sad to see. You can see clearly that this family is grieving. And in a lot of families, there's a family member who kind of holds everybody together, like the glue. And I think it's very clear that that person was their dad who passed away. So they are grieving a lot. So I hope that they can heal from that, identify it, and work on it. But I will say I'm really enjoying seeing more of Brit. I really am. It is then the day for Cynthia's Juneteenth Bailey Q. I love Cynthia's house, and it was great to see Mallory there. I always remember when Candy wanted to beat her up at that couples night event. Cynthia went all out. The prophet is a lady, so she gets there, and one of the first ones that was there was Brit, and the prophet says to her, put yourself first, especially when it comes to your business. Kelli gets there, and then Angela. You can feel this heavy tension when Angela walks in. Shamea arrives in like a nice African clothing. So the prophet feels Angela and then tells her, you need a vacation. Sometimes as women, we can get too busy at work and things like that and don't have enough time to have sex with our husbands. Then the prophet asks if she has a Porsche, and Angela says no. The reason the prophet said that is because she's saying that she feels like her husband has his eye on something. So Shamea, she couldn't pass this opportunity to be messy. So she says, does he have his eyes on a Porsche or on a Porsche? Shamea is then told that in 2025, that will be the year where she is going to be making money. And probably, it was true. She probably made money, a lot of money from the show. The last ones to arrive are Porsha and Drew. Angela doesn't acknowledge Porsha, which I don't blame her. Then Porsha wants to hear her prophecy, something about her divorce. Drew didn't want hers to be in front of everyone. So then all the ladies are talking, and Brit says to Angela, Angela, sounds like what the prophet said to you was pretty accurate, right? Angela then was like super defensive. She says, what? Is there something you want to tell me? Because like I can feel your energy. So then Brit says, do you not hear the words coming out of my mouth? Angela says, oh, with that big ass mouth, I can definitely hear it. Brit says, well, it sounds like you should be using your mouth a little more. Angela says, well, you would know with all the miles on your mouth. I'm married and you're a whore. Brit says, well, maybe you should be a whore in the bedroom, and if you were, maybe your husband wouldn't stray. Your husband hasn't even acknowledged y'all's entire marriage, and he has an outside baby. Damn. Cynthia's able to calm everybody down. Everybody calm down, child, she says. And she has the game. Historical questions about Juneteenth. I thought, oh, please don't ask any history questions to Porsha. But y'all know history was my minor in college, so I love a history game, okay? Little trivia questions. And then after that, they got some food, and then Cynthia summons Angela and Porsha to another room so they can have their one-on-one. They're kind of over Angela inviting Drew. Their issue kind of is really about what happened at the pool that night. Especially this comment about Porsha saying that she would screw Charles. Now, Porsha kind of tries to deny, kind of defend her comment. She says that she was just having a lot of fun with her girlfriends. Porsha, just take some accountability, please, and apologize. Cynthia had to come in and make them both apologize, and they did. So then Cynthia brings Shamea to talk to Angela. Shamea is upset about the text that she got. Angela says, well, like, what did you expect? Your best friend said to you that she would F my husband. You're a married woman. Why didn't you check her? Shamea pretty much says, well, that's not my fight. Angela says, well, you just sat there and kikied. And Shamea wanted to say that she just loves to laugh and that laughter is healing, and she even laughed at her uncle's funeral. Shamea. But you know what, though? I kind of feel like Shamea wants to be shady to Angela because Porsha's being shady to Angela. Then they take a nice picture at the end of it, and that was the end of the episode. We then get the mid-season trailer, you guys. My girl, the one and only queen, ex-squire, mother, lawyer, mortician, holistic medicine expert, Phaedra Parks is going to return. I can't wait for that. But you guys, this was a good episode. I liked the individual scenes, especially with Brit. I thought it was very real what her family's going through. And yeah, a little shade, a little messiness at the Bailey Q. But you guys let me know what your thoughts were about this episode. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, but I'll catch y'all next time. Y'all have a great one. Bye.